Selina Varn sat in her office on the top floor of the Asterion Tower, a glass spire that stretched into the clouds of the orbital city of Nova Prime. Her eyes scanned the holographic reports floating above her desk. Corporate charts, interstellar trade updates, and security briefings flickered in soft blue light. Every number, every statistic, had to be perfect. A single mistake could cost her millions of credits, or worse, her reputation. Yet, tonight, her mind wasn't on numbers. It was on Jonas Mercer. Jonas wasn't a businessman, and he wasn't a part of her polished corporate world. He was a single dad, an engineer, and someone who lived more by instinct than protocol. Selina had watched him from afar, first as a consultant for one of her subsidiary projects, then as a man who could solve impossible problems without the bureaucratic hesitation of her board. She admired that in him. Humans like Jonas were rare, resourceful, unstoppable when necessity demanded. Selina tapped a few keys, and a message window opened. Her fingers hovered for a moment over the keys before she typed, "Stay by my side tonight, pretend you're with me." She hesitated for just a moment before sending it. It was bold, risky. But she had a gala to attend, a high-stakes event for interstellar investors, and she needed someone who could handle any unexpected situation. Someone real, someone human. On the other side of the city, Jonas Mercer was trying to calm his daughter, Leela, who had knocked over her glass of juice for the third time that evening. The small apartment smelled faintly of warm bread and engine oil, a combination that reminded him of better days when his late wife was still alive. Leela had been quiet now, her big brown eyes staring at the mess she had made. Jonas sighed and grabbed a towel. As he cleaned the floor, his comm device buzzed. He looked at the notification and froze. Selina Varn. He opened the message, reading it twice. His first reaction was disbelief. Why would the CEO of one of the largest interstellar corporations contact him? A simple engineer and single dad. The words were simple but carried weight, and a part of him was instinctively cautious. "Stay by my side tonight, pretend you're with me." He read it again. Pretend. Stay by her side. One night, Jonas looked over at Leela, who was now focused on a small holographic puzzle game projected from her learning tablet. He rubbed his forehead. He didn't know this woman personally, at least not outside work. She was the kind of person who could command fleets and manipulate markets with a single decision. And yet here she was, asking him for something personal. His mind raced. The gala was tonight, a social event filled with dignitaries, alien investors, and corporate sharks. He was not a socialite. He had barely attended a meeting with more than 5 people since Leela was born. And yet, there was something in Selina's message that didn't feel like a trap. She was in trouble. He could sense that, even through the cold formality of her words. Jonas typed back a simple reply. "Why me?" The comm buzzed almost immediately. Selina's holographic image appeared in his apartment, a sharp, confident figure standing in her sleek office. The lights reflected off the glass of the tower behind her, painting her in a mix of shadow and brilliance. "Because," she said, her voice calm but firm, "you are not afraid to do what's necessary. You think clearly under pressure. And, frankly, you have a human perspective that my guests would never expect. I need someone real. Someone who isn't pretending to be polite and controlled." Jonas felt a strange mix of pride and hesitation. He wasn't sure what she meant, but her words hid a truth he couldn't ignore. She needed him for something beyond appearances. "And why pretend?" he asked. Selina's gaze softened, just for a fraction of a second. "Because I need to show the galaxy that I'm approachable, that I'm human. Tonight isn't about business, it's about perception. And I need someone who will make me feel safe enough to play the part. I need someone I can trust, even if it's just for one night." Jonas swallowed. He wasn't used to these kinds of requests. He was used to calculations, engineering problems, and deadlines that affected machinery, not human lives or reputations. Yet, there was something compelling about Selina's honesty. "What's in it for me?" he asked bluntly. She smiled faintly. "You'll get access to resources that could help Leela. Technology, medical care, opportunities that you might not otherwise reach. And perhaps," she added quietly, almost as an afterthought. "You'll see that humans are capable of extraordinary things, even in a world filled with alien intelligence and machines that do nearly everything for us." Jonas considered the offer. He glanced at Lila, who was now humming softly to herself, unaware of the conversation that could change their lives tonight. He knew the decision wasn't just about him. It was about giving his daughter a chance at something better, something beyond what he could provide on his own. "All right," he said finally. "I'll do it. One night. But only one night." Selena's face broke into a small, rare smile. "I'll take that. Meet me at the Asterion dock in 1 hour. Formal attire will be provided. Don't worry about the rest." The image disappeared, leaving Jonas staring at the blank air where she had stood. He took a deep breath. One night. One night to step into a world he didn't belong to. One night to show what a human could do, even among the most advanced beings in the galaxy. He helped Lila into her little coat and grabbed her hand. "We're going on an adventure tonight, kiddo," he said. She looked up at him, her eyes wide with excitement. "Adventure?" she asked, her voice soft but eager. "Yes. Adventure," he said, forcing a smile he didn't entirely feel. The Asterion dock was alive with activity when they arrived. Sleek starships glimmered under the artificial lights, and beings from dozens of worlds moved gracefully, exchanging greetings in alien languages. Jonas kept Lila close as they walked toward the sleek shuttle that waited for them. Selena was already there, standing near the shuttle in a tailored silver dress that shimmered faintly under the dock lights. Her presence was commanding, yet approachable. She looked at Jonas and Lila with a mix of relief and expectation. "Good," she said. "You made it." Jonas nodded, feeling the weight of the night ahead. "Let's get this over with," he said, trying to sound confident. Lila tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy, is she nice?" Jonas looked at Selena, noting the subtle kindness behind her sharp eyes. "She is," he said, though he didn't fully know what the night would bring. The shuttle lifted off, carrying them toward the floating city where the gala would take place. Outside the window, the stars stretched endlessly, a reminder of the vast universe beyond the station. Jonas felt a small thrill. He was out of his world, but for the first time in a long while, he felt the spark of possibility. Humans were not the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. Machines could calculate faster, alien races had mastered strange physics, and yet, tonight, Jonas felt the quiet power of human ingenuity, courage, and heart. It was something no algorithm could replicate, no machine could predict, and as the shuttle approached the glowing city, Jonas knew that tonight he would prove not just to Selena, but to himself, that humans could rise to challenges that no one else could face. Even if it was only for one night, the shuttle hummed softly as it glided through the orbital corridors of Nova Prime. Jonas Mercer tightened his grip on Lila's hand, feeling the subtle vibrations of the engines beneath him. Outside the window, the city lights sparkled like a constellation of their own, reflecting off sleek glass towers and floating platforms. The sheer size and complexity of the city made Jonas feel small, and for a moment, unprepared. Selena Varn sat across from him, serene and poised, her hands folded in her lap. Her sharp eyes scanned the shuttle's controls and the approaching city below. She didn't speak, but her presence radiated authority. Jonas realized quickly that she didn't need to say anything to dominate a room or a shuttle. Lila, oblivious to the tension, leaned against her father and pressed her nose to the window. "Daddy, it's so bright," she said, eyes wide with wonder. Jonas smiled softly. "Yeah, it's like a whole universe made of lights." He felt a twinge of pride. Even in this strange alien world, he had brought her here safely. That, at least, was something he could control. The shuttle docked smoothly at the top of the Asterion spire, where the gala would be held. A red carpet floated in midair, secured by anti-gravity anchors, and exotic alien species mingled with human dignitaries. The air smelled faintly of ozone and perfume, a mix that made Jonas feel both excited and nervous. Selena led them through the crowd with ease, her confident stride parting the masses like water around a stone. Jonas followed, doing his best to stay composed. He wasn't a socialite. He wasn't trained to navigate the delicate politics of interstellar corporate events. But he had something that no protocol could teach him: instinct. The gala hall was a masterpiece of architecture and technology. Walls of transparent metal displayed the swirling cosmos outside. Light cascaded from hovering chandeliers, refracting through crystalline panels to create a shimmering kaleidoscope effect. The guests spoke in dozens of languages, some human, some alien, and their conversations buzzed through the air like electric currents. Jonas glanced at Selena. She was in her element. Investors, dignitaries, and even diplomats from distant star systems approached her with smiles and bows. She answered each greeting with precision, her words smooth and careful, yet her eyes always scanned the room. He realized she was watching more than the guests. She was watching for problems. Jonas leaned closer to her. "You're really good at this." She gave him a faint smile, one that was almost invisible beneath her sharp demeanor. "Experience and necessity. You get better at reading people when mistakes can cost you everything." Jonas nodded, understanding. Necessity had shaped him too. Every decision he made for Lila, every problem he solved, had been forged in the fires of survival. He felt a quiet kinship with Selena, even though she was worlds apart from him in wealth and influence. As they moved deeper into the hall, Lila's curiosity got the better of her. She tugged on Jonas's sleeve, pointing at a group of beings with translucent skin and glowing veins. "Daddy, look, they're glowing." Jonas chuckled softly. "Yeah, that's an alien species called the Varians. Their bodies emit light naturally." "Pretty amazing, huh?" Lila's eyes sparkled. "I wish I could glow like that," Jonas laughed. "Maybe one day. But for now, you've got your dad to protect you, and that's enough." The moment of lightheartedness was short-lived. Jonas noticed a subtle disturbance near the central console of the hall. One of the hovering displays flickered for a second before stabilizing. He squinted, feeling a familiar twinge of unease. Something wasn't right. Selena's voice, calm but firm, pulled him out of his thoughts. "Jonas, stick close to me. There are sensitive guests tonight." He nodded, sensing the weight behind her words. Sensitive indeed. The gala wasn't just about celebrations. It was about power, influence, and interstellar politics. A single misstep could ignite tensions among species who barely tolerated one another. As the evening progressed, Jonas realized the gala was a complex dance. Diplomacy mixed with personal ambition. And every smile, every handshake, was calculated. He saw a guest from the Trellix Confederation subtly slip a small device into the base of a hovering display. Jonas's heart skipped a beat. The device was too small to notice, but he recognized the engineering signature. Sabotage. He leaned closer to Selena, whispering, "Something's wrong. That display, it's been tampered with." Selena's eyes narrowed, scanning the area. "I see it, but no one else seems to notice. Stay calm. We can't panic the guests." Jonas nodded, his mind racing. He moved subtly, using his engineering knowledge to trace the wiring beneath the display. The device was designed to overload the station's gravity stabilizers if activated. That could eject part of the hall into space. He swallowed. "We need to stop it before it triggers." Selena's voice was low but commanding. "Can you disable it quietly?" Jonas glanced around. Guests were oblivious, laughing and sipping luminescent drinks. He could feel Lila tug at his sleeve. "Daddy, what's happening?" "Nothing, kiddo," he said, forcing calm. "Just..." He knelt behind the display, careful not to attract attention. The device was sophisticated, far beyond human tech, but he recognized the principles. With steady hands, he began to carefully dismantle it. Sweat beaded on his forehead, but his focus was unshakable. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, he managed to disconnect the device and hide it in a secure pocket of his jacket. He breathed a sigh of relief. One disaster avoided. But he knew this was only the beginning. Selina watched him closely. When he straightened, she nodded subtly. "Impressive. You handled that well." Jonas shrugged, trying to look nonchalant. "Just doing my job," but inside, he felt a quiet thrill. He was human. He was resourceful. And even in a world filled with aliens, advanced machines, and political games, he could make a difference. The rest of the evening continued, the gala a swirl of music, laughter, and diplomacy. Jonas followed Selina's lead, navigating conversations and preventing small mishaps before they escalated. Each time, he relied on instinct, intuition, and his understanding of human behavior. Lila, meanwhile, was mesmerized by the spectacle. For the first time, she saw humans standing tall among the stars. Not just surviving, but thriving. Her father's quiet courage left a mark on her young mind. Later, during a brief pause in the festivities, Selina turned to Jonas. "You understand now why I asked you to come?" He looked at her, a faint smile on his lips. "Yeah. Humans have something machines can't copy. Instinct. Empathy. The ability to improvise when everything goes wrong." She nodded. "Exactly. You didn't just protect me tonight. You reminded everyone here what it means to be human." Jonas felt a strange pride, mingled with exhaustion. He had come here to help, maybe gain some resources for Lila, but he realized something bigger was happening. In this galaxy of aliens and technology, humans still had a place. Humans still mattered. The evening drew to a close, but Jonas knew the gala had only revealed the surface of the challenges ahead. Somewhere beneath the glittering floors and polished smiles, threats were lurking, ones that would test him. Selina, and even Lila. And yet, he felt ready. Because he was human. And humans, he knew, had a remarkable ability to rise when the odds were impossible. The gala had reached its peak. Lights shimmered across the floating hall of the Asterian spire, and music from an alien orchestra reverberated through the air. Guests laughed, danced, and discussed trade agreements and galactic politics, completely unaware of the danger lurking beneath their feet. Jonas Mercer walked alongside Selina Varn, scanning the room with quiet attention. Every conversation, every gesture, was a potential clue, a possible threat. He had barely caught his breath after disabling the small sabotage device, but his instincts told him the night was far from safe. "You seem tense," Selina said softly, her eyes narrowing slightly as she scanned a group of Trellix diplomats across the room. Jonas shrugged. "It's nothing. Just my brain doesn't stop noticing things." She raised an eyebrow. "That's exactly why I asked you to be here. You notice what others don't." Jonas glanced down at Lila, who clutched a small, glowing orb given to her by an alien guest. She looked tired, but her curiosity hadn't faded. "I just hope I can keep her safe," he murmured. Selina's gaze softened. "You will. You have the advantage of caring more than anyone else in this room." This room. I would be turn. I would be Turnixtime. 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 Just as Jonas began to relax, a sudden tremor shook the floor. Glasses rattled, and a low hum filled the hall. Guests murmured nervously, some stopping mid-conversation. "What was that?" Lila whispered, gripping her father's hand. Jonas's heart raced. He rushed to a nearby console and scanned the stabilizer readings. The tremor was not natural, it was the beginning of a larger sabotage. Someone had triggered a cascade that could overload the station's gravity stabilizers. He took a deep breath. Calm, methodical thinking. That's what humans were good at. Machines could calculate, aliens could strategize, but humans improvised. "Selina," he said quietly, "we have a serious problem. The stabilizers are being tampered with." If this continues, part of this hall could be ejected into space. Her eyes widened slightly, but she immediately composed herself. We can't panic the guests. We need to manage this quietly. Jonas nodded. He knew what he had to do. He couldn't let fear take over, not tonight. Not with Lila and hundreds of others at risk. He knelt near the base of the central platform and began inspecting the wiring. The sabotage was complex, far beyond typical human engineering, but Jonas had seen similar patterns in old interstellar engines. He traced the energy lines with careful fingers, deactivating circuits, rerouting power, and improvising solutions with whatever tools he had on hand. Seconds stretched into minutes. Each movement had to be precise. One wrong connection, one miscalculation, and the room and its occupants could be lost. Selena, meanwhile, moved through the crowd with poise and efficiency, subtly guiding guests away from danger while maintaining the appearance of normalcy. She whispered instructions to security, redirected servers, and even reassured anxious dignitaries, all without anyone noticing the crisis unfolding. Jonas paused for a moment, wiping sweat from his forehead. The complexity of the sabotage was unlike anything he had seen before. Whoever had done this was clever, and their intent was clear: to humiliate Selena and gain leverage over her corporation. He worked faster, relying on human ingenuity, intuition, improvisation, and sheer determination. Machines could calculate probabilities, but only humans could adapt instantly to unpredictable variables. Jonas bypassed a failing circuit with a simple yet effective solution, using parts from a nearby maintenance console. Finally, the system stabilized, and the tremors ceased. Jonas let out a quiet sigh of relief. He had prevented disaster for now. Selena approached him, her expression a mixture of admiration and respect. You did it. Quietly, efficiently, and perfectly. Jonas shook his head, smiling faintly. Just doing what humans do best. Think, adapt, survive. She glanced at Lila, who had been watching her father with wide eyes. She's going to remember this, you know, Selena said. She'll see what humans are capable of, even when everything else fails. Jonas knelt to Lila's level. Yeah, kiddo, humans are pretty amazing sometimes. The music played on, the guests unaware of how close they had come to catastrophe. But Jonas couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The saboteur had been clever, but humans were cleverer, and he intended to prove it. As the gala continued, Jonas remained vigilant. He moved through the crowd, subtly checking consoles and observing guests, ensuring that no other devices had been planted. His actions were precise, efficient, and almost invisible to those around him. Lila tugged at his sleeve. Daddy, can I help? Jonas smiled softly, kneeling again. You already are, kiddo. Watching and learning. That's the first step. Selena watched the exchange. Her heart quietly touched. She had requested Jonas's presence for one night, thinking he would serve as a companion, a placeholder. But tonight, he had proven something far greater. He had demonstrated the human spirit, the ability to rise to impossible challenges, to protect loved ones, and to think creatively when all seemed lost. Suddenly, another alert flashed on one of the hall's displays. A hidden panel had begun overheating another sabotage attempt. Jonas's stomach tightened. This time, the threat was more severe. He moved quickly, signaling Selena to guide Lila to a safer area. With careful precision, he isolated the overheating system and rerouted its energy flow. Sparks flew, and the hum of failing machinery echoed through the floor. But Jonas's quick thinking prevented any damage. Selena observed him in awe. You're incredible. Calm under pressure. Thinking 10 steps ahead. I've never seen anyone work like this. Jonas didn't respond. Words weren't necessary. His focus remained on the systems, his mind racing with calculations and contingency plans. He felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for humanity. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, and not the most technologically advanced. But they had heart, creativity, and adaptability. That was their true power. Minutes later, the last of the malfunctions were neutralized. The hall returned to normal, the guests oblivious to how close they had come to disaster. Jonas straightened, exhausted but satisfied. Selina approached him, her usual composed demeanor softening. "Jonas, tonight, you reminded me why humans are essential, even in a galaxy filled with advanced technology and alien intellect. Machines can calculate, aliens can strategize, but humans improvise, protect, and endure." Jonas looked at her, a faint smile forming. "Yeah, we do what we must, especially for the people we care about." She nodded, her eyes meeting his. For a moment, there was no corporate facade, no gala pretenses, just two people recognizing the strength and value of human spirit. Lila, sensing the tension had passed, returned to her father's side. "Daddy, we did it, right?" Jonas knelt and hugged her. "We did. Humans always find a way." The gala ended on a high note, with guests applauding Selina's leadership, unaware of the silent heroism that had protected them. But for Jonas, the night was a reminder. Humanity had a place in the stars, not just surviving, but rising to challenges that machines and even the most intelligent beings could not. As the shuttle returned to their apartment, Jonas looked at the galaxy beyond the windows, sparkling with possibilities. He thought of Lila, of Selina, and of the countless moments where humans would face the impossible and succeed. Because humans, he knew, had something extraordinary. The courage to act when it mattered most, the ingenuity to overcome any obstacle, and the heart to protect what they loved, no matter the cost. And tonight, that courage had saved hundreds of lives. The gala had ended hours ago, but the memory of what had happened still lingered in Jonas Mercer's mind. He leaned back in the shuttle's soft seat, his hands folded over Lila's small ones. Outside the window, Nova Prime shimmered like 1,000 tiny stars, its lights reflecting the city's constant energy. Yet despite the beauty, Jonas could not forget the danger they had narrowly escaped. Selina Varn sat across from him, her posture relaxed for the first time that night. She had spent most of the evening maintaining her composure, keeping guests calm, and directing security without anyone noticing the brewing crisis. But now, in the quiet of the shuttle, her professional mask slipped just a little. "You handled tonight remarkably," Selina said softly. "I've faced crises before, but I've never seen anyone think on their feet like you. Calm, efficient, precise." Jonas gave a small shrug, trying to appear modest. "I did what anyone would do. Protect people. Solve the problem. Keep things from getting worse." Selina tilted her head slightly, studying him. "No. Most people wouldn't have noticed the sabotage until it was too late. Most would have panicked. But you saw it. You acted. That's why I wanted you here. I didn't just need someone to pretend to be with me tonight. I needed someone who could act when it mattered most." Jonas looked down at Lila, who had already curled up against him, her small frame calm, now that the immediate danger was gone. "I did it for her," he said simply. "Everything I do, it's for her." Selina nodded, understanding. There was a strength in that human strength, born not of ambition or technology, but of love and responsibility. She had led corporations, negotiated with alien governments, and mastered diplomacy across dozens of star systems. But she had never seen a force as powerful as a parent's determination. For a moment, silence settled in the shuttle. The hum of the engines was the only sound, steady and reassuring. Jonas felt a strange mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. He had survived the night, protected the people around him, and proven something important, not just to Selina, but to himself. Humans had a way of rising to challenges that no algorithm or alien intellect could predict. Lila yawned, her eyelids heavy. "Daddy, will we go home now?" she asked softly. Jonas smiled, brushing her hair gently. Yes, kiddo. We'll go home. Selena watched the interaction quietly. She had expected Jonas to be competent, efficient, maybe even brave. But there was something more. There was warmth, patience, and a gentle authority that no power or title could give. She realized that true strength often came in quiet forms. When they reached their apartment, Jonas carried Lila inside and tucked her into bed. She clutched her small orb tightly, still fascinated by the glowing device she had received at the gala. "Daddy, humans are amazing, right?" she whispered before drifting to sleep. Jonas smiled softly, kissing her forehead. "Yes, kiddo, we really are." He stepped out of the bedroom and found Selena waiting in the living area. She had followed them back not because she needed protection, but because she wanted to continue the conversation they had begun on the shuttle. "Thank you for tonight," Selena said quietly. "Not just for keeping me safe, but for reminding me what humans can do." Jonas leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. "It's not about reminding you, it's about showing it. Humans can be clever, resourceful, and brave, but only when it matters. You just saw it firsthand." Selena nodded, then hesitated. "Jonas, I have to admit something. I asked you to come tonight thinking it would be simple, a favor, someone to fill a role. But I underestimated how important you would become not just to me, but to everyone here." Jonas raised an eyebrow. "Important? I'm just a dad doing my best." She smiled faintly. "Yes. And that's what makes you extraordinary." Jonas felt a flush of embarrassment. He wasn't used to praise like this, especially from someone like Selena Varn, a woman whose presence commanded rooms and whose intellect intimidated entire boards. He cleared his throat, trying to regain composure. "Look," he said, "I didn't come here to be praised. I came because you asked for help, and because I knew my daughter could benefit from it. But, I'll admit, it feels good to know my skills mattered." Selena took a step closer, her eyes studying him with a quiet intensity. "They mattered more than you know. You handled tonight in a way that no machine, no protocol, and no diplomat could. You proved that human intuition, creativity, and heart are invaluable even in a galaxy full of advanced technology and alien intelligence." Jonas felt a lump in his throat. He wasn't used to this kind of acknowledgement. Most of his life had been spent solving problems quietly, without applause or recognition. Yet tonight, he had done something bigger than himself. He had saved lives, protected his daughter, and reminded a CEO, and perhaps the galaxy, that humans were capable of extraordinary things. Selena's gaze softened further. "I don't usually say this, but I respect you, Jonas, more than anyone else I've met in a long time. You remind me that there's more to leadership than strategy and power. There's empathy, courage, and the ability to act when it matters most. You have all of that." Jonas shook his head, trying to dismiss the praise. "I'm just me, that's all." "No," Selena said firmly. "You're more than that. You're human. And sometimes, humans are stronger than any machine, any alien, or any plan." The moment was interrupted by a soft knock at the door. Jonas glanced at the door cautiously, then opened it to find a small delivery, a token gift from one of Selena's colleagues at the gala. It was a simple gesture, a small reminder of the night, but it carried meaning. Even in the vast, impersonal galaxy, human connections mattered. Jonas closed the door and turned back to Selena. "You know, I didn't expect any of this when I agreed to come tonight. I thought it would just be pretend. But it turned into something real." Selena nodded, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the room. "Sometimes, the most meaningful moments come when we least expect them. Tonight was one of those moments. Not just for me, but for all of us." Jonas felt a quiet warmth in his chest. He had been so focused on protecting Lila and solving problems that he hadn't realized how much he had grown tonight, not just as a father, but as a human capable of rising to challenges that seemed impossible. He looked at Selena, then back at Lila's sleeping form, and realized something important. Humans thrived not because of power or technology, but because of bonds, love, trust, loyalty, and courage. And tonight, all of those qualities had been on full display. Selena broke the silence. Jonas, I won't ask you to stay by my side permanently. That's not why you came here. But I hope you'll consider working with us in some capacity. Your skills, your perspective, they're invaluable. Jonas considered the offer. He had no desire to become part of corporate life, no wish to leave his daughter's side. But the opportunity to use his skills to protect others, to show the galaxy what humans were capable of, was tempting. I'll think about it, he said finally. But only if it doesn't interfere with Lila. She comes first, always. Selena smiled. Of course. I wouldn't expect anything less. The shuttle's engines hummed softly as they prepared to leave Nova Prime behind for the night. Jonas leaned back, feeling a sense of accomplishment and quiet pride. Humans were not invincible. They were not always the strongest or the fastest. But they had something unique: heart, ingenuity, and the ability to rise when it mattered most. And tonight, Jonas had proven that in ways no one could ignore. As the stars stretched endlessly outside, Jonas looked at Selena and then at his daughter. He knew that the galaxy was vast, full of challenges, dangers, and unknowns. But he also knew that humans would continue to rise, to adapt, and to protect what mattered most. Because human courage was not measured by power or technology, it was measured by action, by heart, and by the determination to stand for those we loved, no matter the odds. And tonight, that courage had forged bonds that would last far longer than a single gala. The morning light of Nova Prime streamed through the windows of Jonas Mercer's apartment, casting gentle patterns across the room. Lila was still asleep, curled under a warm blanket, her small face peaceful and serene. Jonas sat at the kitchen table, sipping his coffee, his mind replaying the events of the previous night. It had been intense, exhausting, and dangerous. The gala, the sabotage, and the tense moments of improvisation had tested every skill he had ever learned. And yet, for all the chaos, something remarkable had emerged. A clear reminder that humans were more than just fragile creatures in a vast galaxy. They were creative, adaptable, and courageous. There was a soft chime from his comm device. Jonas set down his cup and activated it, revealing Selena Varn's holographic image. She looked composed, even in the early light, but there was a subtle warmth in her expression that he had rarely seen. "Good morning," she said, her voice calm. "I hope you and Lila had some rest after last night." Jonas nodded. "We did. She's still asleep. And I think I finally feel awake enough to function properly." Jonas nodded. "I think I finally feel awake enough to function properly." Selena chuckled lightly. "Understandable. It was a long night. And what you did, Jonas, it didn't go unnoticed. My board, my team, even some of the dignitaries you saved, they're all speaking about your actions." Jonas felt a flush rise in his cheeks. He hadn't expected recognition. He had acted quietly, without thought of reward, simply to protect others. "I just did what had to be done," he said softly. Selena's gaze was firm, and that is precisely what makes it extraordinary. Most people would freeze, wait for instructions, or panic. You acted. Human intuition, resourcefulness, and courage, all in one. You reminded everyone, myself included, what humans are capable of. Jonas glanced at Lila's sleeping form, a quiet pride settling over him. "I only did it for her, so she can grow up safe, and maybe see that humans can rise to challenges, no matter how impossible." Selena nodded slowly. "And that's exactly why I think you should consider my offer. Not for the gala, not for me, but for the galaxy. Humans like you, humans who can think, adapt, and act, are rare and invaluable. I would like you to consult for our interstellar operations. guiding decisions where human perspective and ingenuity are needed. Jonas considered her words carefully. He had no desire to climb corporate ladders, no interest in bureaucracy or politics. But the opportunity to use his abilities to protect others, to shape events, and to prove humanity's worth on a galactic scale was tempting. "I'll think about it," he said finally. "But Lila comes first, always. Everything else comes after that." Selena's expression softened. "Of course. That's why I respect you even more. You understand priorities. You understand what truly matters." After a brief pause, Selena's image faded, leaving Jonas alone in the kitchen. He poured himself another cup of coffee, reflecting on how far they had come in just one night. The gala had been a test, a challenge, and a lesson. It had shown him that human courage, empathy, and adaptability were unmatched, even in a universe full of advanced technology and alien intellect. Later that day, Jonas took Lila to a small park near their apartment. The city outside was alive, floating vehicles and alien species moving in harmony. Yet, amidst the complexity, Jonas found clarity. Humanity was not weak. Humans were resilient, and his daughter, watching him navigate challenges with calm determination, would grow to understand that strength came in many forms. As they walked, Lila asked, "Daddy, do you think people will remember what happened last night?" Jonas smiled down at her. "Maybe not everyone. But the people who need to know, they will. And more importantly, you'll remember. You'll see what humans can do when it matters most." She nodded thoughtfully, her small hand clutching his. "I want to be like you, Daddy. Brave and smart." Jonas laughed softly. "You already are, kiddo. And one day, you'll be even better. Humans keep surprising themselves. Remember?" The day passed quietly, with Jonas handling small tasks, repairing household devices, and enjoying the rare peace. Yet, he knew that his life had subtly shifted. The galaxy had glimpsed what humans could do, and he had played a part in that revelation. In the evening, another message arrived from Selena. This time, it was an invitation to a private briefing at her office. Jonas hesitated briefly before agreeing. He felt no fear, only the knowledge that humans could rise to any challenge, and perhaps this meeting would be another opportunity to prove that truth. When he arrived at Asterion Tower, Selena greeted him personally. The office was quiet, overlooking the glowing city below. She gestured for him to sit, then joined him. "I wanted to thank you again," she said. "For last night. For showing me, and everyone else, what it means to be human." Jonas shook his head. "I just did my job. I'm not a hero." Selena smiled, her eyes softening. "You may not call yourself that, but others will. You saved lives, protected your daughter, and reminded everyone here that humans have something no technology or alien intellect can replace. Heart, intuition, courage, ingenuity, all of it combined into action when it mattered most." Jonas felt a lump in his throat. He had spent his life quietly solving problems, never expecting recognition or praise. But tonight, he realized something important. Humans did not need titles, wealth, or power to matter. Their strength came from their actions, their love, and their determination to protect what they valued most. Selena leaned back, observing him carefully. "I won't ask you to abandon your life, your daughter, or your priorities, but I do hope you'll consider working with us strategically, selectively. Your perspective is invaluable, and the galaxy needs humans like you." Jonas nodded slowly. "I'll think about it, but whatever I do, it won't change one thing. Lila comes first." "Good," Selena said with a faint smile. "I wouldn't expect anything less. That is human strength as well. Loyalty and love, paired with intelligence and courage." The evening ended with a quiet understanding between them. Jonas returned home, feeling the weight of the night lift. He had survived, protected his daughter, and proven to himself that humans could rise to challenges that seemed impossible. Even in a galaxy full of advanced technology and alien civilizations, Lila slept soundly, unaware of the heroism that had protected her. Jonas sat by her bed, watching her, reflecting on the lessons of the past night. Humanity had something remarkable, something unique: the courage to act when others froze, the ingenuity to solve problems no one else could, and the heart to protect loved ones at any cost. And tonight, Jonas had proven it. The next morning, he received a simple message from Selena. "The galaxy has a way of testing us. You passed the test. Never forget that humans have power beyond measure." Jonas smiled softly, replying simply, "We never forget, we act." The message was brief, but it carried meaning. Humans had stood tall, humans had acted, and humans, with all their flaws, strengths, and ingenuity, had reminded the galaxy why they were not just survivors, they were heroes in their own right. As Jonas walked through the city later that day, Lila holding his hand, he felt a deep sense of pride and purpose. Humanity was not just part of the galaxy, it was vital. And when the moment came, humans would rise, adapt, and prevail, no matter the odds. And so, life continued. But now, Jonas knew one truth with certainty. Humans could shine brighter than any star, face challenges no alien could predict, and act with courage, heart, and ingenuity when it mattered most. The galaxy had witnessed it, and Jonas Mercer, a simple engineer and devoted father, had been the proof. For humans, the night was never just a test. It was an opportunity, and humanity always rose to the occasion.